Alright, welcome to this short tutorial on how to set periods and breaks in our AAC timetable. So we have periods and bell times. Periods determine the main school routine. So we can launch a session that has already been created that has a sample timetable, and the sample timetable that we're going to use has a 9 lessons program of the day. So we may have other activities, but all of them are placed around the teaching periods. So the teaching periods is what I may say is defined as lessons, and the lessons vary from one school to another depending on how they have decided to lay out their school routine. Now, again, I say to define them, one determines the number of lessons that are taught per day, and then in addition to the number of lessons that are taught per day, you add other sessions, e.g. preps, games, and co-curricular activities. The one that you are seeing here, we have lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then those are the lessons, but let's turn the name and call them periods again. So we have period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5, period 6, period 7, period 8, period 9, period 10, and period 11. Now, of the periods from 1 all the way to 9, those are now the lessons. It's a 9 lesson teaching routine of a school. If we say we begin at 8 a.m. and rather teach the lessons consecutively without any other major activity in between, which is the norm and which is the actual routine that happens in between schools from morning to afternoon, we do lessons and other activities come after the lessons. So this one we run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So together with the 9 lessons, you add the other sessions, the other periods, which you will assign other activities depending on what you want your school to look like in terms of the routine. So in this one, other 2 sessions have been added. The 2 sessions that have been added are period number 10 and period number 11, and that gives you 11 periods that you will fix in the timetable. So using this simple layout, we can see how the printout actually appear. Let's take this 9 lesson day. If we have 9 lessons of 40 minutes each in a day, we can set them and start at 8 and end at around, not really around, but it's precisely 3:20. Then that means that we have 1 hour 40 minutes before 5 p.m., which is the normal schedule of a working day. So we can allocate 2 extra sessions, so one to have 40 minutes and another to have 1 hour. So of course, in the dashboard, which is the first thing that you normally see in the AAC timetable, you may not really have the time periods allocated showing you the length of time, but according to this that has been created here, it is a 40 minute, a single 40-minute lesson that goes that actually all of them go all the way from 8 to 3:20, and therefore we are left with 1 hour 40 minutes. So in that we can have two sessions, as I have said. One will have 40 minutes and the other one will have 1 hour. So from 3:20 to 4 p.m. we may have preps or remediation sessions. Then from 4 to 5 p.m. we can have co-curricular activities. This is just a sample. This is something that you can always customize it according to your school. So let's jump in to the ASC timetable and create a new one so that we go directly to that school setup. So we go to file and then we go to new, and then under new, now you put in the name of your school when you're beginning a fresh one. So let's say your school is the Excellent School, and the year, of course, for us doesn't span 2 years, it spans 1 year, so it is academic year 2024. And then we have our number of periods. Now when you say new, it brings you to the school setup first, and the school setup wizard will have you the 3 sections. In the 3 sections you will set up a few things and say how you want your school to operate. First of all, the first section, as we have seen there, is a section of the name of the school, and then now the second section will be the section that tells you how your school routine is laid out, and then the last section is you want to say you have different timetables in different periods. Now in this tutorial that we are having today, we are looking at one school that it has a consistent routine from the beginning of a term to the end of a term, or even some have a consistent routine from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So we will not really want to have multi lessons. So after that we now come back to the number of periods that we would want to set per day. So when you click the dialog box there, it lays out for you, so you choose according to what we discussed previously. We said we'll have 11. So when you choose 11, it tells you, are you sure you want to change the count of lessons to 11? You say yes. Then the number of days that you teach. Universally, people work for 5 days, so we teach from Monday to Friday. Then our weekend is still the universal one. We will not change anything there, Saturday and Sunday. Then we now come to the bell times and periods. By default, we will let the periods remain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 11. And then the timetable gives you a default timetable that has a 45 minutes lesson. Now for ours is a 40 minutes lesson, so we need to go through all of it, changing it to a 40 minutes lesson. So we edit each one of these, and the simple way of editing is just changing the beginning and the ending time. The beginning time is 8 a.m. ending time is 8:40 8:40, the first one, and then we go to the second one, we edit again all the way. The beginning time is 8:40, the ending time will be 9:20. And you do that to the end. You already know in the back of your mind that your school may be having breaks at specific time, so you just set the lessons specifically, skipping the break times. So for instance, we have 8 to 8:40, 9 to 9:20, then we give the students a break of 10 minutes. So we will not say the next lesson is going to begin at 9:20, but we add those 10 minutes and we say the next lesson is going to begin at 9:30, and then it will end at 10:10. Okay, the other thing that I left here by default is the printouts. You want these periods to appear in all the printouts. You want it to appear in the summary timetable, you want it to appear in the print this in the individual teachers timetable, you want to print this in the individual class timetable, you want to print this in the individual classroom timetables. And then the bell times will also be given for all classes. Alright, now you've come to the end. You've defined your lesson 1 to your lesson 11. You've used a 40-minute lesson layout, and you can see all of them are 40 minutes except the last one, which is 60 minutes. Once more, we say that when you're laying them out, you exclude the break. This is for Asc Timetable 2018. I hope the earlier lessons may not be having that feature. The earlier versions may not be having that feature where you exclude the breaks and add them later. You might need to add them the same way you add the lessons, and then you rename them. Instead of 1, 2, you rename that particular period as a break. But for 2018, now you exclude them as you're laying out the periods. So for this one is we have 3 breaks, that is a short break, a long break, and a lunch break. So the short break comes after the second lesson or before the third lesson, and it's only 10 minutes. And then the long break comes after the 4th lesson or before the 5th lesson, and it's usually 20 minutes. And then the lunch break is 50 minutes after the 7th lesson or before the 8th lesson, and then the rest of the things follow each other back to back all the way to the end. That is 2 lessons, a preps or a remedial lesson, and then the other one is co-curricular time period. So after finishing that, now you add your breaks, which will appear very nicely to the places where you want it to be. So you come down on this right end, you will see this tab, this button that is written on add break, that will be printed between lessons. So for that to be printed between lessons, you have to add it that way. So the first thing is to name the break. You call that one short break, and then you can give it a short form of SB, and then break position. In this one, we have been given as before. So you position it as a before. So for hours, we say that it comes between the second lesson and the third lesson, which means it is before the third lesson. Then it automatically allocates the time 9:20 to 9:30, the 10 minutes that we said. Then you see it has nicely come there in between lesson 2 and lesson 3. Now let's go for the long break. We call it again long break, and then the short LB, and then we just say the lesson will come before lesson 5, because it is in between lesson 4 and 5, so after 4 and before 5. And then it automatically fits in the time from 10:50 to 11:10, and it is the 20 minutes that we said. The last one is lunch, so we say lunch break, and short is LB. Then we come over and say it is before period number 8. Then it automatically gives in the time, that is from 1:10 to 2 p.m., and it's the 50 minutes that we said when you look at the length column. And then you will have successfully finished adding your breaks, which will appear very nicely in between the lessons, and they will be printed between the lessons. Now remember to look through the options that are given below the layout. The first option is we have a different bell time in different classes. No, we don't, so we don't check. Then the other one is this period has different bells on some days. Again, we do not have that. It is one consistent thing from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. You have finished, you say okay, and then you can save this, or if it is a fresh new timetable you're creating, of course, you can move to the next options, give the conditions on how you want your school to operate. That is the conditions, the relationship of how the lessons will be